Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So to follow on Mr. Worthington and Mr. Delmini, did anything happen to either one of you for this, I would say, egregious act against 56,000 veterans? You were ultimately to be held responsible. I heard you say that, sir.
Right. I would certainly, if somebody came to me and said, we want to take action, that, obviously I have an employer.
I'm just trying to get clarification for myself and for Mr. Self that nobody above you came down into your level and said, because of these errors that were made on 56,000 veterans who served our country, and by the way, that's 2011. That's right as the Iraqi war was drawing down. I'm just curious. Nobody has approached either one of you saying that this was a problem.
Oh, they've definitely approached us and said this is a problem.
But no actions were taken whatsoever?
Have they taken employment action against me?
So that's one of the problems with the VA system, and I greatly appreciate what the VA does as a whole, but when you get down to the granular level, I think we have a problem with addressing the major issues in leadership and not being held accountable for things that they do or do not do, and uphold their fiduciary responsibilities to veterans like myself, like this gentleman here, and like that gentleman over there.
If I may, respectfully, the environment and the culture that I have seen among the senior leadership under Secretary McDonough has been one of pushing for excellence in terms of execution, but support of
I agree. I think Mr. McDonough does a fantastic job, but that's not the question I'm asking. The question I'm asking is, my concern is that nobody's holding you responsible for this. You said you were in charge of it, but I'll move on.
If I may, I think this is true for Mr. Worthington as well. We are our own worst critics in cases like this. We hold ourselves to an incredible
When I go home and talk to the veterans in my community who may or may not have been affected by this, and I look them in the face and they ask me who's being held responsible, what am I supposed to say, the VA?
I think you're supposed to say the VA and the people in my team.
Okay, so what happened to you? Nothing. Zero. You're sitting here in front of me telling me that. That's the problem that we're trying to get past. That's the problem that we have to go back to our base and say, we're doing everything that we can to streamline this process. Mr. Tellez, 120 days. Are you a veteran, sir? Forgive me. I'm not. Okay, so if I go back to my base and I say 120 days, they'll lose their minds. And that's just something that we have to do right now because I'm asking you the questions, and the answer that you give me to my question is 120 days. Now, if I go tell a veteran that who is in dire straits, I'm the one that has to answer that question. I don't even work for the VA. You see the frustrations here? That's rhetorical. Don't answer it. But I'll move on. Mr. Tellez, there are probably a lot of veterans who are concerned that the VA might have lost their claims and filings over the past decade because of this the VA.Gov website, the UX UI experience. What do our veterans need to do in order to course correct if there is an issue?
Thank you, Congressman, for your question. I think right now, if they're concerned that they did file a claim and they don't see it when they check the status of their claim on VA.Gov, then they can call, or they could check VA.Gov. If they don't see it there, then they could call the call center, and we'll certainly address that question there.
So I have to go back to my veterans and tell them the VA possibly made a mistake, so you, the veteran, need to reengage instead of the VA reaching out to the veteran and saying, well, hey, we made a mistake and we want to fix this. It wasn't your fault?
We have done some outreach, sending letters. We are sending letters when we take actions on those claims as well. That's both for the 526 issue for disability claims and for the dependency claims as well. We'll send out correspondence.
Which specific department in the VA is handling that issue? Is that you directly?
It is not me directly, but it is VBA that is handling that, and for that.
It wouldn't be the VBA as a whole. It would be there would be a little contingent in there somewhere.
It's probably a combination of our field operations and our policy and oversight division.
Who would be leading that? I need a name.
I can get you a name.
I'll be looking for it by tomorrow, if you don't mind.
No, I don't mind at all.
Okay. Mr. Worthington, back to the IT situation, if you will. You stated that there's been a lot of progress. I'm pretty savvy when it comes to the UX UI, the IoT space. Now, what do you mean by that?
Sure. The website itself every year is seeing an increasing amount of usage. For example, this past year, we have had 64 million times where somebody has signed into the website, which is up over 50% from the previous year. And that same platform that we use to build VA.Gov has enabled us recently to launch the VA flagship mobile app, the Health and Benefits mobile app. That's been downloaded 1.8 million times and has a 4.8 star rating in the Apple App Store, which is on par with USAA and Bank of America. That's sort of what we aspire to do, is to give veterans a experience that will match what they're getting in the private sector. And we feel we're making progress at that goal, although these issues obviously are our top priority.
Thank you. Mr. Chairman, I yield back.